Okay, so my name is Denmark Vessey. I am a Detroit artist, music artist. Yeah, I've been rhyming and making and producing for about 20 years. Yeah, and I moved here to Chicago briefly for about 8 years. Moved to New York, moved to LA. Also, I was in LA for a little bit too. And yeah, I'm still on my musical journey right now. So the inspiration behind my name came when I was, I don't know, about 18. And, just in that point where I was like finding out who I was as, so-called black person, black male. And just, again, hip hop actually influenced that a lot too, because, you listen to the conscious rap and, it kind of, it gives you like a placing, like, oh, yo, you listen to Cast and you hear, what's the nature of threat. And it's like, wow, man, that's like, that inspired me. So, you get to looking into your history and, I'm already well, like entrenched in hip hop and I like the aspect of like underground, things that are not as, well, represented. And Denmark Vessey, which is the way he actually had it pronounced. I never heard of him before, and his story was really dope, and it just sounded like a really like powerful name. So with all those things combined, like the fact that it wasn't talked about a lot, and just on the surface, it was just such a like Denmark Vessey. It just sounded like some dang that's powerful and it's unique. That's really what drove me to like want to take that name and his story, obviously. I don't know if you want me to go into that, but yeah. So I mean, yeah. Also, the story was he's a slave insurrectionist. So he was a slave that bought his freedom. He won it in a lottery, and he decided to organize a slave rebellion. And he would have done it if not for one like Uncle Ruckus type slave, pretty much, that told on him, and then he got hanged, and consequently, the insurrection didn't happen. But I thought a slave could be so like hypnotized or so like such a slave that they could stop their own freedom from happening. Like they'll cut their nose to spite their face, and other people too. Like because you snitching and you messing up that for everybody. So I just thought that was a wild component of that story. Like wow, this is slavery is just like a hell of a drug type stuff. So that's what made me choose that name. Where you from shapes you because I mean those are your first experiences, right? So from your first kiss to your first fight, all that stuff happens where you're at. Those are things that you hold for the rest of your life, and you might do this, you might do something different because you remember, oh yeah, that this is I have to navigate a different way now. So yeah, just growing up like on the west side, I grew up in a fairly it was a lot of different cultures around me. So I took that in and like I'll incorporate like I had a song called Stolot, and that's like a Polish song about your birthday or whatever, but I made that the title or something. And I always think like I wouldn't even never knew about that if I didn't grow up on the west side of Detroit, or you know what I'm saying? So just little stuff like that definitely shapes who you are. I grew up around a lot of Arabs too, and sometimes I like throw some Arabic in some of my raps or whatever. Just being around different cultures, different language. Obviously, if I'm rapping, that's important, and that's what shaped me mostly. Just the diversity, the cast of diversity that I was around, pretty much. So a moment that was negative, and I came out of it anyway. So a moment like that was, I guess, when there was a period where before I came out with my first solo album, which was called Classic, and I didn't really have anything that identified who I was as an artist. Because of that, that was the struggle right there. It's just like, well, who am I, and what are people going to connect with me about? And my effort moment was actually coming out with the full length solo project, the Cult Classic, which I also did with, it was me rhyming primarily, but my homie Scud One, he did all the beats for it, all the production, and we actually put that out with Exile as well on Dirty Science. So basically, just my effort moment was like, you know what, I'm gonna show myself and hold myself to the fire and actually publish something that people can critique, and it'll be just an honest voice of like what I think of the world. So that was my effort moment. I learned that I could do it. I could come out with a full length album, and that there was space for me in this genre. That you know, not so much like accepted by peers so much, but just that my art is palatable enough for people to enjoy. Which, if you're an artist, sometimes a lot of times, I speak for myself, very self-conscious about putting out my art, and the way it was received kind of like validated, me wanting to pursue this more. So, moving from Detroit to Chicago, yeah, there was definitely influence because first of all, like I said, like a lot of the MCs that I like looked up to, like Juice and Common, Quasar, like those were like I would be in high school listening to those guys, like, man, this is incredible, like. So that's and Kanye, being such a force in hip hop at the time, that made me honestly want to come to Chicago. Those are some of the reasons why I wanted to come to Chicago. Yeah, getting to see like what the city is made of, and actually meeting, Juice, and just becoming like involved in the Chicago hip hop scene while I was here it was really beautiful, and yeah, it was super dope. I definitely, and it also again this is where I made my debut album, my solo album. So the spirit of the city definitely can help contribute to my first published work. My connection with Quelle and Crown Nation. Actually, I met Quelle in Detroit. Man, this is almost 20 years ago too, and we had a couple songs that the people in the scene were digging or whatever, and then he actually moved to Chicago. So that was my way into Chicago. I hit him up like, yeah, man, what's good? I wanna come out there, and he opened his doors, man. Opened his doors. So, and when we were there, we actually completed the first Crown Nation album with the SBE, and yeah, so just initially moving out here was beautiful because like I said, I was already a fan of the city. Yeah, no, I'm not from here. I'm originally from Detroit. That's where I met Quelle, and we kind of formed Crown Nation. And but he, after we did our rounds around there, he moved back to Chicago, and that was my in into Chicago. Once I knew somebody that was there, I was like, yo, I'm trying to come out there. And again, he opened his doors, and we were able to complete the first Crown Nation album. And yes, that whole experience, me moving out to Chicago, was just such an eye opening. It was like colors were much brighter here. Just that if you move somewhere new and it's popping, like Detroit or Chicago is popping. So I moved out here in the summer too. So it was like everything was happening. Everything was happening. So it was dope, man. It was. I remember that. Detroit and Chicago had, I guess, different influences on uh, my approach to music. Maybe again, like in Detroit, is in the hip hop scene, it's like Dilla, you know. everybody's like from the tree of Dilla. So that was already something that I was kind of in school for. But then you have like this Midwest, like Chicago's got their own, their own tree as well. Like I said, a lot of my favorite MCs are from Chicago. So like Common, so that I'm always trying to get like that the essence of you know the way he got down. Really like the I don't know if this is answering the question, but like Water for Chocolate to me is like a good combination of Detroit and Chicago. And that was something that I listened to almost every day at one point. I was listening to like Water for Chocolate. So that just experiencing that, like listening to it, also led to me wanting to come here. And I guess that would be the biggest like sign that, or the biggest influence on me in terms of like Detroit and Chicago. Like that was just a perfect marriage to me. So yes, Detroit and Chicago. It's funny because y'all say "What up, Joe," and we say "What up, Doe." What up, Joe? Yeah, I thought people were playing at first. I was like, this is some weird alternative universe type. But yeah, it's a lot of like low key. It's some other stuff I can't remember right now. But it's a lot of stuff that, the juking and the jitting. Y'all juke. It's footwork. We jit out there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know right now. Maybe they don't do that right now, but
Yeah.
when I was here, they was juking, and it looked like jitting to me, and I was like, what they call it? It's like juking. I was like, we call that jitting. It's a lot of like, you can tell obviously they cousins. Like Detroit and Chicago is definitely like, and a lot of time people from Detroit got people in Chicago, and vice versa. I got family down here on the South Side or whatever. So, coming up next from me, I have an album called Peace of Lux coming out. Finishing it up, gonna turn it in by the end of the year on Mellow Music. Been working on that for a while. It's got some joints that I'm happy with. We got Quelle on it, got Makami on it, got Pink Sifu on it, Monica Blair's on it. It's a nice cast and crew on there, and I'm excited to finally let people hear it. So, my name is Denmark Vessey. I also go by just Denmark, rebranding, and you're checking out 24/7 HH.